Barber Motorsports Park, the site for MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our 7th round of 9 for 2020. MotoAmerica Superbikes at Alabama, coming at you from Birmingham, Alabama. Beautiful Barber Motorsports Park, and a good look at the museum here. I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore as we're setting the stage for Supersport. Now, Jason, at New Jersey Motorsports Park last week, race number 2, a race broke out in Supersport.
Yeah, an incredible battle, one that we were hoping to see all year between the three main guys. Obviously, Sean Dillon Kelly had a problem in the first race, but he came back swinging in the second race with Richie Escalante, who ended up going all the way back to third. These guys didn't really gain any points on each other as the course of the weekend went out. Brandon Posh was the big benefactor who almost came through to win his first race.
Now, Jason, when we look at the last 3 races, Sean Dillon Kelly has picked up 25 points on Richie Escalante. It is true that they came into New Jersey 30 points apart and they left, but it kind of feels like Sean Dillon Kelly might have a little momentum. Let's get to the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa, and welcome her in.
Greg, Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly are just 30 points apart in the championship point standings right now. I caught up with both of them to talk about the wild end to the last race and how they plan to carry that momentum into the rest of the season. Let's take a look.
Race 2 at Jersey was a lot of fun, first of all. It's always good to take a win after a really hard fight the entire race, you know, so definitely a lot of fun. Really happy with the outcome of that race, and overall just happy with the fight that I was able to show and just be up there, you know, and some really good passes from all the riders up there in that group, and I think it was good racing the entire time, you know, so definitely felt good to take the win after a hard fight like that.
Yes, me and Sean the same points, the same gap. I'm feeling really good after Saturday race. The difference is 39 points, and then after Sunday back to 30, so it's not bad to finish in the same gap to Sean, so I'm really happy about that. So my personal is try to put a little bit more points to more relax for the last rounds.
Yeah, so it's balanced out, you know, that we didn't gain anything, but we didn't lose anything. So at the end of the day, that's how a championship goes, you know. We're still 30 points down, so we need to, you know, try and chip away. But at the end of the day, happy that we didn't lose anything, considering I did have a mechanical on Saturday at Jersey. So that's good to walk away from the weekend, you know, still with the same points gap, which isn't a lot, isn't a little in this world for us. So we still have six races left for the championship. So it's still going to be a lot of fighting, and we're going to have to just give our best and see what happens.
Well, it sounds like with the points gap unchanged, both of these riders are really feeling the urgency going into the rest of this season and the races here today. The question is, Greg and Jason, who will come out on top?
Well, I think, Hannah, when you look at who's going to come out on top, it's really anybody's guess. But let's have a look at where we are racing today. The Cycle Gear track map here. Greg, this place has so much elevation to it and a lot of little tricky places where you can't see the apex of the corners as you're tipping in. Turn 1, turn 13. These are a couple of the spots that I look at, turn 12 rather, that you look at. And we're going to get right into the Cardo hot spots here. When you look at the places to pass, again, we have some very good spots here to do that. Coming down here into turn 1 is one of those places I just said. You can see as this bike was tipping in, you couldn't see the apex. You're going to run it out of here into turn 2. It goes up over the top of a crest. Eventually we get to turn 4, which is going to be wide open on these bikes. You want to get a good drive up over the top. You want your bike working well there so that you can plan a pass down in here Charlotte's Web, turn 5. Increasing radius corner on the gas hard, headed down towards Museum corner. After you go through Museum, you're going to have a quick left-right that's going to eventually lead you down here to turns 11 and 12. Up over the top of this rise into the last sector of turns. Turns 14 and 15 are a right-left that flips you back over on camber as you come out of turn 14, and you hope you get out of there well to get a good run to that flag.
And it's going to be an exciting race. The Cardo track hot spots. Well, Jason, there have been 3 standouts this season. Sean Dillon Kelly, Brandon Posh, and of course, Richie Escalante are getting ready to put on a show for us.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And brought to you in part by Geico Motorcycle. Now through October 7th, save an additional 15% on motorcycle insurance.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park as Supersport bikes are on track on their sighting lap. and Jason Pridmore as we take a look at some of the beautiful and crazy sights around Barber Motorsports Park. We're going to take a look at the starting grid, but we've got some news for you on this one. In terms of pole position, Jason, it was Escalante over Sean Dillon Kelly and Brandon Posh.
Brandon Posh, Jason Aguilar, very fast this weekend. Kevin Almeida and Xavier Zayat, they're on row 2, but Xavier got out late, so he might be going to the back of the grid, which is where I believe we'll see him start. Benjamin Smith and Nassini Minster. Then Lucas Silva, Lampkin, and Thermiotis are on row number 4. Back to row 5. We've got Reversa, Zaragoza, Faulkner, Miller, Medina, and Blackall outside row 6. A little bit further back, Ivy and DeBusk. So, yeah, we're looking out the window right now, Greg, and Xavier Zayat, who did qualify 6th, who has showed some incredible pace our last 2 rounds with some 4th-place finishes, is going to start from the very back. So it'll be interesting to see what the 24 can do from back there as we get ready to get going here.
Race number 1, Barber Motorsports Park, our 7th round of the championship. When those lights go out, we're going for it. A downhill turn number 1 and a good launch from the middle of the row. Sean Dillon Kelly, M4X Star Suzuki, will lead us into turn 1.
It looked like Brandon Posh was trying to get the jump on Escalante too. Escalante is going to get the better of him as they roll off into turn 3. Aguilar as well as Almeida both get good starts. So our top 5, 6 guys are off to good starts here as they get up over the top of the hill. Fresh tires, so they're going to be wide open on these 600s coming up over the top. Escalante making a bid already down into Charlotte's Web.
Sideways he goes, but he's in deep, so he's going to push it wide. He tried to get back down to the apex, but he couldn't do it. Sean Dillon Kelly sneaks by, so does Brandon Posh.
And Almeida has made quick work of Aguilar also. Not sure where that was, but Escalante pulls back up alongside Posh.
Ooh, he is fighting back immediately, is the 54. HONOS Kawasaki over Celtic HSBK's number 21, Brandon Posh. So they're roughing each other up. And Escalante looks a little frantic right now.
No, I thought he did okay there. He got into Charlotte's Web, Greg, just a little bit too deep, ran wide. SDK stuffed it back up underneath, and Brandon tried to take advantage of that as well. As we saw in New Jersey a week ago, that happened a few different times. You can see track temperature and the weather here is actually just perfect. No real wind to speak of. So little cooler conditions. Almeida is out of the seat in 4th, runs extremely wide. That could give that position back to Aguilar.
So that was the 16, Altus Motorsports. Suzuki shuffled back to 5th spot. Meanwhile, Jason Aguilar, the 96 in 4th on his Riders Law Aguilar Racing Yamaha R6. Escalante, Jason, so far for Richie Escalante, I just keep seeing a little bit more movement in the front end of his motorcycle than I do off of Sean Dillon Kelly's Suzuki.
SDK looks solid, and you know, we did on our tease today talking about maybe a little bit momentum, but here comes Escalante. He comes up over the top, uses a lot of exits, going to put him down the inside of SDK. Now, he's got to get this lever pulled on, and is SDK going to be able to go back underneath him? He was able to get the bike stopped, slowed down, and just keep it in front of SDK so he couldn't turn back.
What skill from Escalante, a little dirt track style, is able to pull it right back to where he needed to on the track, and Richie Escalante leads the way towards the museum.
Yeah, and in practice this morning, Greg, he ran a string of 27s, 27.3, 27.4s, and so on to snatch that pole position away. So SDK at 27.9, about a little over half second behind. So he's going to have to put his head down, see where he's losing some of this time. And Aguilar, Almeida, how about this? Let's give a call out to Jarrett Nassini, running 6 right now, doing a tremendous job. Ben Smith just behind him in 7th.
Hasn't been a mistake-free weekend for the HONOS Kawasaki crew. Richie Escalante crashing in the first session on Friday yesterday. And Jason, that's the first time we've seen that. All right, let's get down to Hannah. Hannah, what's going on?
Heading into this race, you know Sean Dillon Kelly is really only 30 points adrift. This could be his first real opportunity to win his first ever championship. But Richie Escalante and Brandon Posh are not going to make it easy for him. Both champions in their own right. Richie Escalante has a 600cc national championship in Mexico in 2014. And Posh won the 2016 KTM Cup championship here and the 2019 British Moto3 championship as well. But, you know, Sean's no spring chicken. He also made his Moto2 debut in Valencia this offseason, and he spent 3 seasons in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. So I would say these 3 are very evenly matched, and with 6 races left this season, anything could happen.
Very experienced between the 3, even though they're all so young. Hannah, like you say, I'm looking right now, and it just seems like SDK's bike works really good at the end of this lap, Greg, towards the turns 13, 12, 13, 14, 15. pretty solid, even down the front straight. He gets a really good drive out of that last corner. Escalante looks a little bit better up over the rise in turn 4 and down, but if you can see now, they've pulled that gap on Brandon Posh. They've pulled out a pretty big gap on him. 27.965 first flying lap through for Escalante. So we'll see if those times come down at all. 28.1 there for Sean Dillon Kelly. But look how good that Suzuki works as he comes down through all of this area. Really solid. SDK going to make a move as they go into the last corner.
Aggressive. I love it. So Sean Dillon Kelly, M4X Star Suzuki, forces his way by Escalante and retakes lead. Here comes Escalante. No, he's not going to get it done. SDK rolling off that brake lever. No, he almost ran out of real estate. There goes Escalante. The door was open by about a foot, and Richie Escalante will take advantage of it. And this is where Escalante is really good. He drives so hard up this hill, front wheel in the air as they head towards Charlotte's Web. Turn number 5. There goes Sean Dillon Kelly on the inside. Sideways, no room, they touch. Can he get it turned? He does. Sean Dillon Kelly to the front.
Great move. I mean, you got to get underneath that guy. He got under there. I think he had enough room. Escalante tried to tip it in. SDK was there, though. So all the while now, Brandon Posh is loving this on the 21. He wants these guys to battle like this all the way throughout so that he can get back in this battle. Right now, Greg, 27.4, 27.6 for these two. SDK's already gone quicker than his qualifying time. He looks awful racing. Now we're coming into the section of track where he's really good too. All down through this fast left. Now they're going to go back to the right, up over this hill. As soon as they go over this, Greg, this big, long right-hander, SDK Suzuki looks like it handles very well.
To the final section of Barber Motorsports Park. Now there is an opportunity if you set it up right to get someone on the switchback on a drive. Escalante's lunging for it. There he goes. To the front. Boy, what a risky move. He's able to pull it off. And he'll come to the line, and he'll cross the line. Credited with another lap led. Wow, good move by Escalante.
Great move by Richie Escalante. And he had that happen to him just the lap prior. And you could see him setting it up all the way through the right. So, you know, he was able to just get the bike, pick it up off the edge of the tire, give it a little bit of gas, and just get it down to the apex of that last left-hander. And does to SDK what was done to him just the lap prior.
So Sean Dillon Kelly trying to get that Suzuki slowed down behind. So Jason, do you think Richie Escalante forced the issue a little bit too early, meaning Sean Dillon Kelly's had more laps, more turns behind him to figure him out, where Richie Escalante didn't have a ton of time behind SDK to figure out where he reeled him in?
I think what Richie does his best work is when he's in front. He likes to just get out front, run his own lines, do his own thing, try to hit his marks, and he looks awesome doing that right now. As you can see, it's just the tiniest of margins is stretched out, kind of coming back into that area where SDK's bike, and you know, Greg, it could be just chasing that carrot in front of you because Escalante didn't give much up here just now when SDK took to the front as they come up over this rise. So he was able to run really close to Sean Dillon Kelly through here, but now is that just a tiny little bit of a gap. But when you come out of here, if you pull it over to the right, it gives that guy behind you an opportunity to get it up off the edge of the tire a little bit sooner and squirt the bike up underneath you like we've seen.
So lap number 6, there's going to be 14 to go in this one, Jason. The question is, what's going to happen with tires? This is the second year of new asphalt, so it's been new for 1 year. It's still abrasive on the tires. Who's got the setup? That's the thing, Sean Dillon Kelly, is he pushed Richie Escalante to using up more rear tire than he's accustomed to. So Escalante is starting to eke away right now, but you can't say this one's over by any stretch of the imagination with so many laps left.
Oh yeah, tons of time, 14 to go. A lot of things can happen. SDK's got to just keep trying to pile the pressure on. 27.2 that last time by Escalante, so he's a 10th under his qualifying time. 27.5 for SDK, so he has really improved as well. But this is what Richie does super well. He gets out front, and he's able to kind of ride free wherever he wants to. And you know, these guys both now have championship. We've seen it in our pre-race interviews. Championships on the mind, 30 points at the last race, and they left there the exact same as they went into New Jersey. So, but SDK, the thing I like about him, he'll never stop trying. He always rides 100%, and he's just got to keep going because, like you say, the tire thing might come into play here in the next 7 laps or 8 laps or so.
Yeah, it really depends on your riding style, how you have everything set up, and how hard you have to push when someone's pressuring you. Jason, the race lap record around Barber Motorsports Park was set by Bobby Fong last year on an M4 X-Star Suzuki at a 127.055, 27.076. Last time by goes Richie Escalante, so fast, flirting with that race lap record set last year in race 2.
Man, he just barely missed it too, and this is just going to be enough now. As you see SDK back there, he's still solidly in the 27s himself, but he has the gap opened up by 0.6 just on that last lap alone. So 27.0 to 27.6. Brandon Posh back there, 28.5. He's going to end up having some company here in a minute with Aguilar. As you see the pass for the lead, one of the first passes for the lead, you see Escalante go up underneath SDK. Then in the last corner, Sean Dillon Kelly makes a big bid, and that turns great because it's off camera. Now watch how quick Escalante gets this bike upright and gets just to the right-hand side of Sean Dillon Kelly. It's a big move there, big commitment to make that pass. SDK fires it back up underneath here. So these guys were doing this for the first 4 or 5 laps. Sean Dillon Kelly goes up underneath. Yeah, you know, he was still trying to get his bike slowed down. They make a little bit of contact.
Yeah, Richie saw him coming and did the right thing. He didn't try to force the issue, lean into him, and cause a potential crash for himself. He gave him a little bit of space. There's probably some marks on Richie Escalante's leathers that weren't there at the start of the race.
He's even quicker this lap. So, you know, sometimes that kind of stuff, 26.979. There we go. Lap record there by a 10th from over last year. So 26.9. And like I said, I could see Aguilar was getting closer and closer to Brandon Posh. Aguilar's made the move. First practice session yesterday morning, Aguilar was extremely fast. And there's one particular area on this track where I saw, Greg, that I thought he was really good, and that's off the back straightaway as they go down into turn 12. Brandon Posh is a little too far back here, but we're going to keep an eye on this because Aguilar actually has some really good pace. Coming off, I would say, a bad weekend for him in New Jersey.
Without question.
Yeah, bad one.
Hannah?
Aguilar actually clinched the 2017 Superstock 600 championship here. So this is a good track for him. He feels very confident. I was talking to him earlier and he said yesterday they ran the same tire all day for all sessions, and he did his very fastest lap on the last lap of practice. So I'd be curious to see once this tire really comes in how he fares toward the end of this race.
It's such good practice to do that if you can stay on the same tire all day. And this is the section yesterday I was watching where Aguilar looked incredibly fast into that left right section before you come up over the top. Now we'll keep an eye on it. He's at 28.5. That's the first lap. We've seen SDK just in front of him at 28.0. So Escalante's back kind of into the 28s, and here you go. Almedo now and Benjamin Smith. Benjamin Smith had an accident this morning out of turn 2. In fact, Almedo had one yesterday. There was 5 of our top 10 riders that started this race, all had incidents, all fell over before we were able to get race 1 underway. So Almedo now locked into a battle. This is the battle for 5th. Kind of where we've seen Kevin a couple times this year. Both of these guys have been battling for around that top 5 spot. So Almedo's just got the better Benjamin. Benjamin fell out of this corner a little bit earlier on this morning, Greg.
Just to give you an update of Richie Escalante out front, he just broke the track record again, a 126.921 from a 979. So Escalante out front continues to push the issue now with a 3.3 second lead over Sean Dillon Kelly. That battle for 5th, like Jason was talking about. Kevin Almedo. Jason, there's been quite a few riders yesterday having tip-offs, crashing their motorcycles, including the 16. So it's a bit surprising. We don't see a lot of yard sales in Supersport like we did yesterday. Of course,
yesterday was, and here he goes, Xavier Zayat. There's a good look at him as he comes over the top. Lucas Silva, another one of those riders that had him off. He's a little bit beaten and battered, is Lucas, but he's in a battle right now with Nolan Lampkin. These guys are battling for 9th and 10th respectively. So They went through the 52s bike last weekend and realized that some of the settings that they thought were in there weren't actually in there. So they've done, they kind of did a little bit of a rebuild on Nolan Lampkin's bike in the week that we had to get down here. So it's good to see him battling with Lucas Silva for just inside the top 10 here. Look at Nolan trying to sneak up the inside. Not quite close enough, but and he's still there. I mean,
he's trying around the outside for a moment, but Lucas Silva caught him out. The 52 of Lampkin, of course, on that Cycle Gear Racing Yamaha R6. He got a good drive onto the front straightaway. Into turn 1 they go. Nolan Lampkin out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Cannot wait till we're at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Coming up October 9th through the 11th. He is looking forward to that one. Nothing like racing and being able to just drive home.
Yeah. Both these two guys are two of the nicest guys you'll absolutely meet in the paddock. And, you know, we know, like I said, Lucas is a little bit beat up right now, but looking at Nolan's time right now, Greg, 29.4. So he's made almost a half-second improvement on his fastest lap of the weekend. He's one of the taller riders in our field. We've seen him in 600s and slowly, progressively getting better over the last few years. Here we go, Almeida, Benjamin Smith. That battle for 5th still raging on. Ben looks like he's trying to get a run on him down this little back chute.
Yeah, we've seen these two riders locked in battle all season long, especially the last couple races, as Benjamin Smith is having a much better year out of Glenmore, Pennsylvania, Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing. Jason, and really, if you look at Benjamin Smith, the last year was not.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was rough, and he's done a good job this year. You know, I know his mechanic Kyle and obviously his father, so they've put a nice little program here together for Benjamin. And you know, again, another one of the guys. Both of these guys are just a little bit tweaked right now from a couple offs today. Kevin's was yesterday, very early in the day. But Benjamin Smith, former KTM 390 Cup champion from about 4 years ago, I believe. And we saw Almeida come up through our junior ranks as well in the Liqui class. So this is his rookie season on that 600.
Into turn 5, downhill. Charlotte's Web, we call it, because of the spider statue just through the gravel trap and on the other side of the fence up towards the museum, where they installed just a couple years ago a spectacular bridge. Right there, you can see that bridge. Fans able to walk on there and take a look at the action on the racetrack. Spectacular facility to watch racing, designed to have 80% of the track at any given spot available for fans to view. And with the roller coaster style that Barber Motorsports Park is, it really challenges motorcycle racers. Especially those, Jason, like you were saying, that have been dinged up a little bit. One of the most physically demanding circuits we have. Even though it's 2.3 miles long, this place will wear you out. Not a lot of straightaways to take a breath.
No, and I was just going to say that. I was going to add to that you're exactly right. The straightaways aren't real long here, so and they're tied together. You know, they're tied together by corners that are very, very technical. So takes a lot of your mentality to get around this place. I always found this place to be somewhere where the harder I tried, the slower you would go. And I've talked to a number of the riders that feel the exact same way. Almeida loses the front, but collects it back. That's going to open the door for Benjamin Smith. Hannah, what do you have for us?
I talked to Kevin Almeida this morning about that crash yesterday. He told me that his right ankle is giving him some trouble. He had a crash last year that he ended up needing surgery on that ankle, so that's bothering him quite a bit. And his lower left back, so when he loads that right foot into the right-hand turns and his back stretches, that bothers him a lot, and it bothers him to put weight on that inside foot. So the right-handers, and this being such a right-handed track, he seems to be struggling with that this morning. He said for the race today, he just wanted to be as comfortable as possible on this motorcycle and get as many points as he can.
That's a great report, Hannah. And you know, when you see it, I've seen him lose the front actually a couple of times. We saw it early in the first lap, and then we've seen it, you know, just now. So it is definitely hard, and when you've got back pain too. I mean, anybody that's been at home and has had back pain, you know what that's like to even move around a little bit. So imagine sitting on a bike trying to do what these guys are doing with the amount of movements that they're going to make back and forth. We want to minimize that as much as we can, but when you're in pain, it makes that double, makes it a lot worse.
Especially this deep into the race with 6.5 laps to go with 19. You know, it's one thing to have it at the beginning, and then just as you wear on and on and on, have to imagine that it didn't feel good after saving that front end that he lost about a lap ago. Kevin Almeida, we're talking about the 16. There's always that extra effort. Still sailing across the top of the asphalt. HONOS Kawasaki's Richie Escalante. Jay, we're taking a long look at the wear on the rear Dunlop tire because we've talked about this before. Normally, you give a racetrack that's been freshly paved 2 years until it is absolutely perfect. This track has been awesome after 1 full year, but there was that Hurricane Sally, Tropical Depression Sally that came through here beginning of the week and completely cleaned this track of any rubber in any of the aggregate, or in any of the pores of the aggregate here. And so it was a very, very green racetrack when bikes got on course yesterday morning.
Yeah, and he was one of the first guys to fall over yesterday morning. If you remember, Greg, Friday morning, he had an incident himself, and then he picked the bike up, and for the majority of the first session, this HONOS Kawasaki sat on pit lane getting repaired. He was able to get out very late in the session, and of course, the experienced team that they have down there, they got the bike better. He went out and put in a good fast lap just before the checker flag came out.
And that was
that
was kind of key, because that really was the first drama the HONOS Kawasaki team had seen. So it was interesting to see how that team responds. M4X Star Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly, who put up such a great fight the first few laps of this race, just clicks by at a 28.2. So Escalante still about half a second quicker than Sean Dillon Kelly right now, 7.4 seconds adrift.
Yeah, he's running a good pace still, too. Like you say, Greg, 28.2. When you consider 27.9 was STK's qualifying time. Now, we've seen him go down to, obviously get faster. One thing I'll say about this young man, too, that I like is that he'll go back with his crew tonight, and they'll figure out a way to come out swinging and make something a little bit better for tomorrow, possibly. He's got Jeremy Toye down there in his corner, super experienced guy that's probably, he's looking at the same stuff that we are and probably seeing more than I can see in the sense of from a crew chief's perspective. So he'll look at stuff, and he'll get together with Sean a little bit later, and they'll try to make this a bit better. But you just got to keep clicking off these times. Jason Aguilar is just kind of keeping it around 3.5 seconds. Now you can see number 96, Aguilar's done a really nice job. Solid podium position for Aguilar. He's in the 28s as well still. And this will be a welcome podium for him. We've seen him on the podium this year. He didn't really feel like he deserved it at Washington. His interview was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
In Parc Ferme. And but this one, I think he's going to be a little bit happier about. He can still see STK up the road just in front of him.
What a couple of weeks Jason Aguilar has had. When you go to a place like New Jersey Motorsports Park with a mindset like, this is my worst track, and then you come here where you've wrapped up a championship in your career just 5 days later, what an emotional turn. How about the 16?
Got back by him, didn't he?
He sure did. Of Kevin Olmedo, got by Benjamin Smith, and he was able to do that with a 1:29.5. Benjamin Smith 29.9. Here's a look at the pass, left part of your screen, heading down into turn number one.
Turn number one, yeah.
And that's just a great move. That's just really a passive position, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, it's a good spot, and I like how Kevin Olmedo fights. He's obviously not feeling well, and we've seen him have a couple of pretty big moments, but he wants that top 5 position, and he just battled back. Looked like Benjamin might have had a little bit better of him there for a lap or two. I was kind of thinking, when I saw Olmedo look back after Benjamin went by, a lot of times when a rider looks back and sees they have a big gap, it usually means, hey, I'm going to stay here and just try to collect my points. But Olmedo kept his vision and his eyes and focus going forward and was able to fight back on the 88. You can see just went out of our screen was Brandon Posh. So these guys can still see Posh up there a little bit ahead of him.
Now, Jason, for Kevin Olmedo, his fastest lap of the race was early on at a 28.4, and he's only 1.1 seconds off of that pace, which this deep in the race, especially with his physical condition, is really showing us something.
Yeah, you can see him short shift the bike out of there before he comes down into this last corner out on the curbs. He's actually pulled a little bit of a gap now on Benjamin Smith as he comes across the line, Greg, 29.2 to Smith's 29.5. So yeah, he's still operating within that second of his fastest lap time, and it's just enough now to where he can open up a little bit of a gap. It's almost up to a second, so he's starting to put the hammer down and try to solidify this top 5 spot.
The reset, Jason, Richie Escalante 9 seconds out ahead of Sean Dillon Kelly. Jason Aguilar in third. Brandon Posh in fourth place with Kevin Olmedo, the 16. We're looking at him right now. Altus Motorsports Suzuki in fifth with Benjamin Smith in sixth. Nate Minster in seventh place. And then the 24 of Xavier Zayat with Nolan Lampkin in ninth and Lucas Silva in 10th. Here's a look at the 24. Xavier Zayat, who had a great run at his home track in New Jersey Motorsports Park, who had to start from last on the grid, New Windsor, New York, on N2 Racing Yamaha R6. He's been in the series on and off for a number of years. Xavier Zayat, 22-year-old. And Jason, an 8th place is 8th place. But when you start from last on the grid, is this a win for Xavier Zayat?
You know, he's going to be frustrated, but I think he's got to bring the bike home the best he can. I'm not sure why he missed that out lap, or the siding lap, if you will. We'll have to find that out before tomorrow. But I'm looking at right now, Nate Minster, his teammate, doing a really nice job. It's good to see Nate fighting in that top 7. You can see him just up the road, and Xavier's about a half second quicker right now as Nate Minster goes across the line at a 29.7. Okay, so Minster actually must have seen his board, because he's responded. 29.7 that time for Nate, as opposed to the lap before. He was at like 30.2, so he's responded. But you know, I think, Greg, when you look at it, you just got to try to get the points you can and go from there.
Back up front to Richie Escalante. 3 laps to go in this one for Escalante. Last time by 27.6. Still faster than anyone on the racetrack. Only Sean Dillon Kelly in the high 28s. Everyone else in the 29, 30s, 31s. So everything working perfectly for the HONOS Kawasaki rider, Richie Escalante. So far on the season, Escalante has had 1 DNF. That was back in race 10 at the Ridge when he got cleaned out from behind. Other than that, 9 wins, 1 second place finish and a 3rd as he starts to get into some lap traffic. No dramas there up the inside on Mark Faulkner on his Suzuki. Goes Escalante into what I think has got to be his favorite section of the racetrack. He looks so strong right here over turn 4. You talked about it in the Cardo hot spots and how important it is to get a drive up over this hill and then down braking. He just seems so comfortable doing that.
Yeah, you can tell he just feels very loose on the bike and easy to go. And we always think to ourselves, you know, he's doing 27.4 still. Think to yourselves, you know, he's got an 11.4 second lead. I really feel like when Richie slows himself down, he probably feels like he's more prone to making some little mistakes here and there. So he likes to just continue to push on. But when you're riding as free as he is right now, it's got to be feeling good for him. You can see, you know, when he goes into Charlotte's Web and things, he's got the bike backed in, feels very confident.
Never seen this guy relax. The entire time he's here at a race, he's always working. He's working on his fitness, his stretching. He's thinking about racing. 25-year-old Richie Escalante, he just lives and breathes for this. And Jason, has just been an emergence of Escalante, and now we're starting to see some of that pay off in terms of track records in Supersport. You know, as he's gone fastest in the race. We haven't seen much of that, though, in our Supersport class. I think some of that has to do with how incredible the asphalt is here, as well as the temperature at Barber Motorsports Park. White flag out. Final lap of competition for Richie Escalante.
A couple of our guys there. It looks like Zaragoza and Faulkner, like you said just now, and Escalante's coming up over that brow, turn 4. You can see, Greg, I mean, it still looks like he's, you know, he's riding like he's got a 1 second lead or a half second lead going into the last lap.
Still leaving plenty of Dunlop rubber on the racetrack. Jason, we're heading off into the museum turn. Why, when we get here, do the riders choose to jump the curbing?
Well, just kind of when you go through this fast right-hander, kind of sets you there, Greg. You're just going to go up over the top of this thing. You can use your legs a little bit to absorb some of that, but that's just the way the layout of the track is. It's a fast way through. You just got to go up over the top of that. And then this is a really fun section of track. This is a very fast right or very fast left right-hander that you can use the curbing on the exit. Almost feel like it's a berm on the exit there, but this turn here is tricky. Can't see, again, you can't see really where the apex is, and you have to commit to turning. The faster you're going, you got to commit to getting the bike turned even that much quicker without kind of seeing where you're going. So some of these riders will be using visual marks, and some of them will just be referencing what has felt comfortable to them as it comes through the last set of corners.
A masterful performance on a middleweight sport bike. Richie Escalante head down to the line and will take the checkered flag and the victory in Supersport race number 1, Barber Motorsports Park. Here comes M4X Star Suzuki Sean Dillon Kelly, who put on a spectacular fight at the beginning of this race and plenty of data to look at. And how about this guy, Jason Aguilar? What a great ride for him, coming from 4th on the grid. And the 23-year-old Californian will fill the final spot of the podium. And across the line comes
Almeida.
5th spot for Kevin. Benjamin Smith in 6th. We'll have to talk to those guys after the race and find out what happened.
Closed that gap down again, so he was coming back after him. Nate Minster crosses the line 7th. The guy who started last, Xavier Zaya, ends up finishing 8th. So good run for Xavier. He'll be taking that grid spot tomorrow. I expect him to be a little bit more of a front runner. Nolan Lampkin comes across in 9th. Good solid top 10. Waiting for Lucas Silva now to be the last of our top 10 finishers.
Front wheel in the air. You know, Sean Dillon Kelly, when you look at the component of a motorcycle racer, the ability to go fast is one part of it, but the ability to race and think on board the motorcycle. And Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante are two class acts in terms of how they're able to approach these races. So, for Richie Escalante, his 10th victory of the season. When we come back, we'll have a chat with him and find out how it went, because he had to work for it.
Sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. The Supersport race has concluded, a 19-lap affair. The results, Jason, 27 minutes and 50 seconds, a little quicker than last year's race, with Richie Escalante, Sean Dillon Kelly, and Jason Aguilar, Posh Almeida, Benjamin Smith, Minster, Zayat, and Nolan Lampkin. Right down to Hanalopa in victory lane.
Greg, this marks Richie Escalante's 10th win of the season, an 11.8-second margin of victory. Richie, it was a very tough start to the race, some big passes early on. How were you able to get out front and take off?
Yeah, again, no, I'm start really good, better to compare the last races. Sean in the first laps, again, push a lot. I have a couple passes, so it's very fun in the first laps. Then, oh my God, it's unbelievable. No, my team working amazing, give me very good bike this weekend. I think it's one of my best race, when more enjoying. So very consistent rhythm. So I'm so happy about that. So keep working, keep pushing. I'm ready for tomorrow, so I'm just thanks to all the people to support me this weekend.
Congratulations, Richie.
Oh boy, Jason. If he's saying he's comfortable and he's having a good time, that's not a great sign for his competition.
And he's not going to sit still either. You can see these guys did this move to each other a couple of times down in that last section of corner. And yeah, great racing for these guys. Let's get back down to Hannah.
Second place today for Sean Dillon Kelly. Sean, when we spoke earlier, you said you wanted another fierce battle like at New Jersey. Is this what you had in mind?
Absolutely. I'm happy with the race today. You know, we showed a good fight, and that was the objective. I ran the fastest I've ridden here ever in the first few laps behind or fighting with Richie. So happy about that. Clearly, Richie has another step this weekend so far, and he just has really good pace. So I'm just glad that we did what we did at the beginning of the race. We showed a good fight. I think we both did nice passes, and it was definitely a fun start. So we're just, we need to keep on working. We made a good step for the race, but I'm sure that we can do our homework and make another step for tomorrow. But overall, just really happy with the entire team. Just thank you to all my guys, the entire M4XR Suzuki team, Jeremy, my crew chief, Alex, Randy, all my guys, Mike Torres, my dad, my mom, everyone watching, my girlfriend that's here, and just thank you to everyone for the support. And lastly, thank you to Fresh and Lean for keeping me on top of my nutrition. Thanks.
Congratulations, Sean. Thank you.
There seemed to be a little quiet confidence, though, behind that.
No, because I think he said he made a step from this morning, which obviously he did, because his lap time's really shown it. He can go to bed tonight with a little bit of confidence, knowing that he did his best lap time around here. Now, if he gets with Jeremy and his crew, like he said he wants to do, he'll make this bike even better, hopefully for tomorrow, to put up a little bit bigger fight. Hannah?
This is the third place this season for Jason Aguilar. Jason, tell me a little bit about how you were able to make your way around Brandon Posh and make it stick to race to the podium.
Well, I got a pretty bad start at the start of the race. I also didn't exactly qualify where I wanted to. I was hoping to qualify a little further up, so that was pretty disappointing. I was kind of pissed off going into the race, so that might have helped a little bit. But, I didn't get the best of start. Almeida got around me on the outside on the first lap, and he made a little mistake. I was able to get around him, and I just kind of put my head down. I caught Brandon. I was hoping to see if I could maybe catch Sean, but my tires started going off, and I just had nothing, so I kind of backed off the pace. Richie is so far in front of everyone right now. He's just kind of in a different world, so I don't think anyone's going to catch him. But, he's riding great right now, so we just got to try to do what we can.
Last time we saw you on the podium, you weren't too happy about it. Are you feeling differently about it today?
I mean, I don't think you're ever really happy until you win, so like I'm stoked to be here, but you know, I know what it feels like to win, and I kind of want to get back there sometime soon, so we're hoping to, you know, get there eventually here.
Thanks, Jason. Congrats.
All right, so Aguilar.
Well, yeah, I love it. I love his interviews. They're great because they're honest. And the thing that you think about there is Jay's got to really focus tomorrow on getting a better start, getting up with these guys at the beginning so he doesn't make his race so hard for himself.
Still more to come from Barber Motorsports Park when we come back. Richie Escalante enjoying the fruits of his labor. Jason Pridmore getting that trophy, standing on top of the podium. Now look, Richie Escalante said he had a nice race, all that stuff's great. But Jason, when we were looking at the footage, some of those replays, I noticed that there's a bit of chatter under braking for Richie Escalante. So there's the possibility they're going to have to do their homework, which also means there's the possibility that they might make a mistake in terms of the direction they're going to go in.
Well, we'll see. On Sunday at Jersey, it didn't seem like the bike was quite underneath them, but after as dominating a performances we've seen all year long from that HONOS Kawasaki, I feel like they're probably not going to make too big of changes to get away from there.
Yeah,
Let's let the competition see if they can try to catch up.
Yeah, because keep in mind, for Richie Escalante, every time we come to this new tracks, it's his first time on this Kawasaki, and he didn't get a real chance to test, so they're continuously learning, and that's what Saturday night is for the HONOS Kawasaki team. They're going to put their head down and look at their data as well as everybody else in this field. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from race number 1 because, man, these first couple of laps, we thought this fight was going to go all the way down to the checkered flag.
Yeah, what was a great start by the number 40 there of Sean Dillon Kelly, and you can see Brandon Posh and Escalante get a little close. They get down into turn 1. SDK took a shot pretty immediately on Escalante. Escalante was trying to get by. We saw this happen a lot. I think the thing that you're going to see tomorrow, the biggest improvements will be once the tires get a little bit older. SDK probably wants to make his bike a little bit better in certain areas. You can see they fought pretty hard, Greg. We even saw some contact made. This is in the last corner coming on to the front straightaway. You know, we saw a lap later, Escalante turn around and do the exact same thing. So learned a little something. It was a big move from turn 1 up to turn 2. Anybody that's ridden here before knows how dicey that can be. This is where a little bit of contact's been made between SDK and Escalante. Got in there a little bit deep, but this is where I feel like, Greg, and SDK on new tires wants to try to kind of get up there and do what he can with Escalante as much as he can, but he can't sustain it. That battle for third went to Jason Aguilar, but it was all this guy today. Richie Escalante goes on and wins. Sean Dillon Kelly ends up second, and as I said, Aguilar ends up third.
I think that Sean Dillon Kelly might need a little help from Jason Aguilar in terms of, and Brandon Posh, if they can both get that pace where they can rough up Escalante with new tires. It could be a good race tomorrow. Here's a look at the points, though. It was 30 coming in. We talked about it at the top of the show, Jason. It was 30 going into Jersey, 30 on the way out. Now Escalante's got 5 points on Sean Dillon Kelly. So the important part for SDK is to put Richie Escalante behind him. A couple other riders need to help him out.
It's going to be hard for him to do that because other than Sean Dillon Kelly, we've seen Brandon Posh up there a little bit, obviously, this year as well. You know, SDK needs a little bit more help than just 1 or 2 guys. He's going to need 3 or 4 guys to help him try to get back into this championship. Also, you know, we're coming down towards the end of the year. We've only got 2 rounds left after this. If Escalante was to win here tomorrow and then do the double at Indianapolis, this championship would be over. So it's a little bit now getting frantic for SDK to try to make up those points.
Yeah, there's 125 points available in this championship with these 5 races left. But Jason, I think the thing that's going to be very interesting tonight is how each of these crews respond, because this is going to be that first bit of data with full race distance on those tires. And so I think you really touched on it, saying that the M4X Star Suzuki team has got to go back and look at that information and find out how we get, when the tires start to go off, Sean Dillon Kelly to maintain his speed.
It's what lap they go off. They're going to be doing a lot of that testing and warm-up tomorrow morning. for our previous 1000 Superstock race that happened earlier on today, I was getting a few people texting me from downstairs in Park Fermi about how the tires were looking, and that's what's going on right now underneath us. They'll be looking at all the tires. They'll be trying to make it to where these guys can make big improvements for tomorrow morning. They'll go out on race rubber, obviously, then. And the thing, too, Greg, is the weather. The weather this morning has been about the same as it has been this afternoon. So the race conditions in the morning, albeit just a little bit cooler, they're about the same as what they're racing in.
That's actually a good point that you bring up, because we're expecting tomorrow to be similar temperature, ambient temperature, but this cloud cover is going to burn off, and it's going to add a lot of heat to the track, and that could definitely throw people for a loop. Well, that'll do it for us from Barber Motorsports Park for Supersport. For Hannah Lopa and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you check out another great Supersport race tomorrow as we bring you great race action from race number 2 from Barber Motorsports Park. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.